Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the Bogey Free podcast for the PGA Championship. I am your host, Evan Cheney. Today, joined by Matt, of course, but we have a special guest today. We have Moose. What's going on, dude?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Nice to be back here.
Nice to have you back.
Yeah, it's like we have Matt, so who gives a shit? Moose is here.
I've got a commanding presence.
Oh, it's been far too long. We were very excited that we got the yes from the legend himself.
So, funny story before we get into all this. The first time I did your guys' show, like it was the first time using Google Hangouts, and I didn't realize this was like a live TV. You know, like you could watch this on air. And I remember I had like this big burrito that I was just like when I wasn't
just now.
Whenever I wasn't talking, I was just like going to town on this burrito, thinking that hey, it's radio. We're doing this so we can see each other and get our cues. But no,
I'm fairly certain that's still our best show, like performance-wise to date.
Yeah. In every metric, it's still like the most watched on YouTube, most downloaded on iTunes, everything.
I'm giving all the credit to the burrito. It was a fantastic burrito.
Oh yeah, I'm glad the burrito was good. It's a famous burrito now. I hope
it should have its own Twitter handle.
Yeah,
burrito.
Maybe I'll make a T-shirt for it.
Yeah.
Ooh, see that? That's what the
Moose's burrito sounds kind of pornographic, though. So maybe...
don't Google that. You don't want to Google image that. It could go down a real rabbit hole there.
I kind of want to.
I'm already derailing you guys, and we're not even like 30 seconds into this.
No, that's
this is the stuff.
We built in the time for this.
Oh yeah. All right.
All good, man.
Oh yeah. Well, we do. I think we do have a golf tournament to play this week.
We do. I'm gonna be there.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I feel like I'm coming down with something, so I might have to skip work one of these days. So.
Oh, that's you got to do what you got to do. See the golf.
You know.
Is there?
It happens.
What days you plan on heading out?
I'll definitely be there Friday, but I don't know. I would like to try to squeeze in a weekend, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Let's. You want to talk about last week's listener league winner before we get?
Oh yeah, Boone Hang, I guess is how you say it. Took it down. Had Kang and Barnrat, so that was pretty much all you needed. I think he had 6 of 6, and then one of the guys MDF'd, but still, it was a bit of an odd week with some of the withdrawals and everything else. So having the winner and a guy in the top 5 was more than enough to take down the listener league. So congrats to him. Might as well talk about it now real quick. I think there's a couple spots left in the listener league this week. It's the usual 50 entrants, $5, top 3 win, the whole thing. And same thing as the Masters, the winner. If you take it down, just DM me and I'll send you a bogey free shirt. So there you go.
Good stuff.
What could possibly be more exciting? I'm wearing the bogey free hoodie as we speak. So it's pretty fire. It happens. It's whatever.
Right. Yeah, I made sure I got my ads in the listener league before I forgot. So 1 spot left as of now.
I want it. Wait, where's the link?
I'll send it to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's two spots.
Oh, it's full. It's okay. Well, then
no.
All right. We
I'm so sorry. I still see one more spot.
Wait, I see one.
Yeah,
all right.
I see 1 spot. All right.
I'll talk about the course while I send it to you.
Yeah.
So Moose, you were saying you've played black as well?
I have. It's I actually went out there probably 3 years ago, before 2016, right before they did the Barclays or Northern Trust or whatever it was called at the time, probably a month or two. I actually played with Steven and Brad from FG Metrics at the time. This is
nice.
back in my Mooseonomics spreadsheet days. And
there you go.
Man, it is a beast of a course.
Yeah.
Have you played?
Yeah, I was just telling this story to some other people, but back in the day, I'm 15. I grew up 15 minutes away from Bethpage, so we used to play there all the time. Not black always, but it used to be that the shortest weight would be black. And I just got my license. Like I drove out there And I was like, whatever, I'll just take the shortest weight, like not really having an idea that like Bethpage Black was just like a monstrous course. So that was an interesting experience. But yeah, I played 3 times. A couple times we did the wait in the car, at 2 a.m. sort of thing, get online. So really Bethpage in general, the 5 courses there, if you ever get a chance, they're all very good. So definitely worth a trip. Even if you don't get to play Black.
What's your second favorite there?
The red course is like in between. It's like it's the second hardest course there, and it's definitely it has some teeth too. And the green course runs sort of next to the Black. When you're looking at the first tee on the Black, to the right is the green course, and that's another. The first holes are basically identical. There's definitely some good holes on all the courses there, but nobody wants to hear me talk about that. So we have the Black course. Obviously, it's a par 71, pretty long, almost 7,500 yards. Right. It's been a U.S. Open course where it's been the hardest course on tour for that year. Both times played like almost 5 strokes over par in 2002, which is just absolutely insane. But then when they set it up for the Barclays, it was a little bit more tame. It was about a stroke over par for the field. So I don't know, Moose, what's your read on this? I'm kind of thinking that it's going to be closer to the Barclays setup than it would be to the U.S. Open kind of setup.
I say that I kind of think it's going to be more in the middle. I think the one thing that's awesome about the PGA of America is Kerry Haig knows how to set up a course and just they're going to get going a lot faster. I think the rough's going to be difficult, but they just know how to set it up for a good tournament. They're not going to beat the guys up. Like you said, it's not going to go. The cut's not going to be under par, by any means. Neither was it when it was. But yeah, it's also not the USGA who. I enjoy watching those tournaments, but that's, it's torture, watching them do it. And you don't even need to set this course up that tough, to make it a challenge. But
the only thing that might make it a little easier is there's definitely been a lot of rain over the past week, like 3 or 4 days here. So it could potentially be a little bit softer than they were hoping for, which could be, could help some scoring opportunities, but it's still going to be, it's no matter how easy they want to set it up, there's just a couple of holes that these guys are going to be hitting second shots into that they're not used to pulling these clubs for second shots. So it'll definitely be interesting to watch. I just thought it was funny on the GCSAA like fact sheet for the course. They don't even count the bunkers. They just say there's 8 acres of sand on the course. So I thought that was pretty interesting. They're just like, we're not going to count all these. We're just going to say that 8 football fields worth of bunkers. No big deal.
So you want to talk about sand saves again?
No, please. Let's not go down this road again, please.
No, I went back. I don't think sand saves was as strong of a statistic as I thought it was. Like for these courses.
Well,
I think that's a fair statement.
Here, I can chime in on this a little bit.
Yeah.
So because sand saves is one thing that I'm kind of keying in on this week, and here's why: is the rough out at Bethpage is no joke. I mean, I play out at Hazeltine, and we've got nasty rough, but the rough at Bethpage doesn't matter how long it is. So I don't know if this is true, but I hear that the way that they do their rough, they grow it in 2 different directions so that you're always into the grain. Okay. So, you know what I mean? Like a lot of times you'll have like a downhill flyer shot and you're going to be able to advance it. But here it's this thick, nasty stuff. So you're into the grain. So you're not going to be able to necessarily hit it and stop it. You're not going to be able to hit it and stop it on the green if you're in the rough. And if you're in the rough and you're going to be trying to advance it up to the green, you're probably better off trying to place it into the bunker so that you have a cleaner shot, something that you're more used to than this buried shot around the green where you're going to have to guess how that ball's going to come out. So I think a more strategic player, when they're kind of in that position, is going to be trying to get it into the bunkers so that they have a more predictable shot there for scrambling purposes.
So is this better or worse than the fescue from the U.S. Open a few years ago? Because I'm getting some PTSD from that.
So basically, there is fescue on this course. Most of it is like right around some of the fairway bunkers.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, you go, a yard out from the bunker and it's all fescue, and then it sort of transitions into the rough. And the rough is insane. Like, even just a regular, if they weren't trying to grow it out, it's still, like Moose was saying, it's still pretty nuts. So I could definitely see that. I can see guys bailing out and saying, I'm not going to take this shot where I might, go over the green or miss to the left. I'm just gonna put it in this bunker and just try to get up and down for par. That's definitely a real thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is a lot of other fescue too, but that's in places that I might hit into. I don't think that, most of the fescue that's out there, but that's just not even, it doesn't even matter how long it is. It's so, I can hit the ball away, and I don't know that if I took a full swing, if I could advance it more than 7,500 yards sometimes. I mean, it just grabs it. If, I remember I had a 90-yard shot, and I'm like, oh, I'll grab my sand wedge, and it may have went 30 yards. And it was like, I took a good swing, but one thing separately, just on the rough too, I'm kind of worried about Tiger's back. You know what I mean? Like, if he's in there, I mean, it's that nasty where you could see some back holding, and I don't want to. Never mind. Let's just pretend that. Edit that out.
Well, no. Let's. I mean, let's
that's
transition.
A perfect segue.
Yeah, I mean, let's transition into Tiger here as we look at our popular golfers here in a few of these pricing categories here. So yeah, Tiger at 11,300, your most expensive golfer on the slate. Of course, he won the Masters. Dominated there. I mean, how do you guys feel about him this week? I mean, Moose, kind of elaborate. Tiger's dealing, his back might be an issue here.
Well,
for the course setup.
First and foremost, I think I'd love for him to win. I don't know anybody that, there's 2 or 3 others that you'd pick as a favorite other than him right now at this point. I'm just saying the rough was that bad that you could hurt yourself in it just by swinging. That's what I was saying on that front. But
yeah, I mean, do you buy him as chalk?
He's definitely gonna be chalk.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't really see a world where he places outside a top 10 this week. But so do you want to take the chalk and have a top 10 and hope somebody like, a Lucas Glover pops or something like that? That's where you can go with it. You're not gonna be alone rostering Tiger, right? Newsflash.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be extremely highly owned this week. Matt, how are you feeling about Tiger?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure where his ownership is going to end up. This is another week where, you look through FanShare, and I'm looking to try and do my ownership projections, and he breaks all of the models for trying to figure out who's going to be owned, because everybody's going to talk about him whether they want to play him or not. So that kind of skews things a little bit. I think that it's sort of been a trope around Twitter, everybody, it's public money, everybody's going to roster Tiger. And that didn't really happen. That hasn't really happened that much, since he sort of made it all the way back. At the Masters, he was 14% owned. So he's definitely not been, some just setting records in guys rostering him. And I think at 11-3 this week on DraftKings, I don't know, man. I'll probably put a bet on him, and I'll probably fade him in DFS if his ownership starts to get a little too high.
Yeah, I definitely like him a lot this week, but he's not my favorite in that 11 range. There's a certain golfer I'd rather have at $200 cheaper. We'll get to him in a little bit, but I'd rather have him. So we'll transition down here to Xander Schauffele at 9,100. also in a good spot this week. Moose, I'll throw it to you first. How do you feel about Xander?
Well, Xander's got the distance. He seems to rise to the occasion in this situation. I like him. If I were gonna, do a pivot there, I might move over to Ricky. It's not really a pivot. They're probably about the same owned, but I like Ricky's, sand saves. I like his short game. He's, fairly accurate, has enough distance. He's somebody that could contend if I were going to do a pivot on that one.
Okay, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, Xander, he's kind of been all over the place lately, right? Like, he missed a cut at the Players. He was second at Augusta. He's like in the 60s at Heritage. Like, he's just kind of not really settled in to what we sort of have come to expect from him. But his last 4 majors, he's had 2 runner-up finishes, a 6th place finish, and his worst was a 35th place finish. So you're looking at a guy that's like almost certainly going to make the cut. And like Moose said, like he's getting a reputation as sort of, a big game hunter that just needs to break through and get that win finally. But I would definitely be willing to. I'm at least going to match the field on Xander this week. I would say, if not, be a little overweight.
Mm-hmm. Where do you see him at, ownership wise? Can you put a percentage on that?
I mean, right now, it's a little tough because that range is what him, Ricky, and Fleetwood are.
It's very tight.
Are 3, right next to each other.
Yeah.
I would say that you're at least looking at, off the top of my head, like at least like 12% at the very least. But it's one of those things that, like I said, when you have 3 guys that are right next to each other like this, that don't really have a ton of separation as far as their range of outcomes, like it's tricky to project their ownership. I like, we'll talk about him in a little bit. I like Fleetwood quite a bit this week. So, but out of those 3 guys, Ricky, Tommy, and Xander, like whoever's going to be the lowest owned will probably be the guy that gets into more of my lineups out of those 3.
All right. No, let's move here. Let's move here to Sergio Garcia at 7,900. He does lead this way in very underpriced guys. I mean, I know most weeks Sergio Garcia, being in a tournament, he would be higher than 7,900. But alas, we get the pricing this week that a major would suffice. So most talk about Sergio, and how do you feel about him this week?
It's New York. They love Sergio like they love the Taliban. And so, and you know what? Like the guy's clearly got, we have him projected at like 15% and 17% are actually put on his lineup. So people like him. And if they like him, they're putting him on more of their lineups. I don't see him as being somebody that I really want to mess with. I'm more likely to go over to, Leishman, who dropped out last week, assuming he's healthy and he's still going. I need to read up on that, but I don't know. I don't see Sergio as being the linchpin to any of my lineups, but I also don't do any cash really. I do like 3-mans and mostly GPPs. So I have no interest in Sergio this week at that ownership.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, for me, I have, 2 guys I'd rather pay for in that spot. Like I'd rather pay for, and I'll talk about these guys more in a bit, like Webb Simpson and Kokrak. I'd rather pay for those guys
so much.
He's
He's like firmly in your brand now. How do you feel about that? This really came out of nowhere.
How long have we been doing the show? 3 years now?
Yeah.
3 years ago, I would have never seen myself being a Jason Kokrak. Hell, I probably didn't even know who Jason Kokrak was at that point.
No. I'm saying Webb.
Oh, Webb.
No.
Yeah.
Kokrak's
also
Kokrak is an official bogey-free brand play for now until eternity.
Yeah, but Webb Simpson, yes. Webb Simpson, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm enjoying seeing this.
I love the Webb play this week, honestly. Yeah. I mean, he's like his only knock is the distance, but he hits the fairways. He he never really misses the left side of the fairway. He always misses right, which I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing here, but I just love it when a guy's like consistent, he can take out one side of the course, but his sand saves are great. His scrambling's great. His putter's been phenomenal for the last year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Like at 7,600. I mean, it kind of,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Especially on POA. I saw with the POA filter on there on Fantasy National. He's very strong on POA, and that's huge this week, right? So,
yeah, that is worth mentioning too. It's pretty rare for a course in this area to have POA, and I'm sure you're going to hear it elsewhere, but definitely worth paying attention to putting splits, because POA can be a little tricky for some guys. For me, as far as Sergio goes, like, this range is kind of interesting, and we can sort of transition into the GPP pivots part here in a second. But is there a more tilting range than from like 8,000 to 7,800? Like, you have Bubba, Stenson, Sergio, and Louis right there. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, This is all the most annoying people to roster. Like, it's pretty funny. It's kind of tempting because you're like, oh, it's Sergio, it's 7,900, but he's 26th in the world right now, and he's the 25th highest salary. So it kind of checks out. Like, unless you just think he should be like a top 10 guy and he should be 9,400, then fine, you should roster him. But I don't know that he's that guy. Like, maybe he could go up to like the Reed Matsuyama range in like the mid 8s, but like, he's not I don't think he's like a mid 9 golfer right now.
I still have him at 25% ownership. So like, it's not like I completely faded the guy, right? So
you'll be overweight, I think. Then.
Yeah, I mean, in 150 lineups, I still have 25% of them. So I still feel good about it, but I do also have more of, cheaper guys.
God bless you for building 150 lineups. I do not have the patience for that anymore.
Oh man,
in my old age.
Don't you just like click a button and they generate?
No, I can't do that.
What?
It's
the greatest thing in the world.
I always build everything by hand.
Oh god, I do that for the only sport I build by hand is NASCAR, and that's just because you can never with NASCAR. Like I'll make this quick. But like with NASCAR, you can never like you can never like optimize those lineups because projections are so brittle in NASCAR. Because like a bumped bumper just could end your day. So it's just
how is golf any different?
Well,
I mean,
aside from a
lip out,
he's in golf. In golf, you don't have reckless people like Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming up to your ass and like crashing you into a wall out of spite.
Right, okay. We're keeping it quick, so I'm going to just here.
I can do this all day though, if you really want to.
As long as we don't start talking about injury reporting in PGA, then I'm fine.
Oh no, God no!
But here's what I will say. I will like that's what's the best and what's the hardest about doing golf is that any single week the best guy in the field can miss the cut, and I don't care which tout they are or whatever. You're just never going to get it right all the time, and that's what makes it so fun and so tough. And yeah, it's chaotic and it's crazy and. There is no secret formula ever, but all you can do is do the research and do what you can, and I love it. So
yeah, I mean, again, I'll take that and kind of expand on it. Like when I build 150 in golf, I stopped because I started to analyze, high volume player lineups, and I started to notice that none of these guys have golfers in any more than like 40% of lineups. So I started capping my lineup exposures, at least in 150, like 20 max and 3 max, obviously going to be much different. But in 150, I just started capping it at 40 because of the variance.
I think that makes sense. I think, that's probably a topic for like an entire show. But we could definitely dive into that maybe on like some shitty like Barracuda week or whatever.
No, it is good information though, because there are hopefully some casual players this week that might be entering something like the Mini Max. Hopefully,
Yeah.
waltz into this podcast and
There you go.
get some advice.
Yeah, no,
All right.
I definitely agree. That's an interesting conversation to have. There's probably better qualified people than me to have that conversation, though.
Yeah.
But for anybody who did walk in and is looking to, at Fantasy National, we make it easy to build 20 lineups or 150 lineups just in 2 seconds. It really doesn't matter. And once you build them, you can move your shares around so you can kind of manipulate, and then you can actually go manually adjust it. So if you're somebody who feels like I need to build 150 to get an edge, which, by the way, that's bullshit. You don't. That's not. All it does is increases your risk and it gives you more opportunity. It doesn't give you a better chance of winning. But if that's what you want to do, you can do it at our site. It takes like 3 seconds. So
Yeah, actually, when I used to do the lineup generator thing, moving shares in your setup is definitely my favorite around, because it's easy enough you show like, oh, this many lineups, you can swap this guy out for that guy because of the salary and stuff. Some places it's not as intuitive as that. So I definitely agree with that.
why would you go anywhere else, by the way?
Yeah, no, that's what I said. I said I've never gone anywhere else.
It's-
exactly
It's
what
by far the best golf database you can get. I'm
Thank
not,
you.
I'm not joking. It really is.
Thank you.
All right. So let's get into some of our GPP pivots here. We'll start with our 9,500 and up guys. Moose, I'll throw it to you here first. Who at this 95K and up range do you like to kind of pivot off the chalk? I know earlier we talked about Tiger, but of course there's a slew of other golfers here.
So I misread the agenda for today, and so I was already kind of going into my pivots. But as we were talking about this stuff, I'm actually going to go pretty heavy on Tiger now that I look at it. I was looking at our ownership, and everybody else in this range is double his ownership. Even if he gets that 5% bump, he's still the lowest owned of that top thing. So I'm doing there. I'm probably going to go with Brooks for my one and done. And I'll probably sprinkle in a little bit of him, Rory, and DJ, but that'll just be like because I'm a pussy and I can't like fully commit to Tiger. But I'm now that I'm there, it's like no, there's no reason to pivot off of Tiger because everybody's trying to be so cool and so smart to not play Tiger. It's worth it to play Tiger at this point. Now that I'm thinking about it,
I like it.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just have to go against the opposite of what people think is the opposite,
the contrarian.
Exactly.
At some point, there's just too much thinking going on.
It is
way too much. I mean, anyone other than Tiger, though. I mean, do you like any other members of this range, or?
I like them all. I mean, there's no way anybody can tell you that none of those four guys, Brooks, Rory, DJ, can win this. If they're telling, I mean, they all have a chance. They're all awesome golfers. Rory, I like the least of it because Rory needs to get his putter going, and I just don't know that he can do that for 4 days. He's going to win majors, but it's just he needs to get that putter going for 4 days. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
The only guy in this range I might be able to talk or might try to talk you off of, because obviously you could talk on to any of these guys, but Molinari at 9,700 might be the one guy. And the only thing I have against him is his history on POA has been terrible, at least relative to the field.
Sorry, I was talking 10-4 and up. My bad.
No, you're good.
But yeah,
talk about anyone you want.
Fuck Molinari, that boring bastard, man. Like,
oh, man.
Sorry, do you guys swear on your show? I forgot to ask.
You do whatever you want.
No, fuck him. Like, I like, but just oh my god, it's just so boring to watch. And like, he's a great guy, I'm sure, and he has funny videos where he's like naked in bed with people. But whatever, like, he's a good golfer. But no, like, yes, if you want to make money, it might be a good place to put money on him. But I don't know. I'm just not going to do it.
Now, for me, I don't have any of them because he sucks at POA putting. And I don't know. There have been arguments against strokes gained putting as a statistic for various reasons, but I still use it. I still factor it into my stuff, and to me, it just doesn't.
That could also be a whole nother show. We got to start doing 2 shows a week.
Oh, we do.
If you guys ever just want to have a golf philosophy podcast, bring me on.
Yeah, I think at some
Because
point,
I'm fighting to like just take you guys off into crazy tangents here.
Oh yeah.
no, I think at some point I'm gonna do like just a series of like having people on and talking about like one stat in particular, and just like really dive into like usefulness and how it actually affects like process and rostering guys, because I don't think there's a ton of that, and I think it's probably useful to have that conversation.
We need to put
Well,
in the notes. Put in the
well,
agenda.
Well, let me know, and maybe we'll sponsor that whole series.
There you go.
Let's do that.
I like that idea. It sounds fun.
Oh, yeah. All right. Matt,
Yeah.
going
What's
back to
up?
some of these golfers
How you
here, how you feel about this top range?
Yeah, I mean, this is again just a situation where there's not, like, you can't really be like, oh fuck this guy for the most part. Like even Molinari to a certain extent, I think, has proven that he can compete on courses that we don't think he can compete on because of his distance. So even that sort of makes me a little nervous. As far as ownership goes, like I think that Rose is probably going to be the guy who goes under owned relative to his range of outcomes, which is interesting here. But I'm probably just I'm gonna probably load up on Brooks, and I'm definitely going 100% Rom, and we'll see where the chips fall after that. But Rom is like my take a stand, like absolutely going to be in every lineup kind of guy this week.
Yeah.
So Molinari. So we got Molinari projected between 6.5% and 7.5%, which is about half of anybody above him right now, aside from Tiger, and he's just about he's a little bit lower projected than Tiger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
if you can roster that boring whatever, then go for it. Do it.
All right.
If he plays great, you're gonna make some money. So do it. Woo!
You're not wrong.
Woo! It'll be so exciting watching him come down the stretch on Sunday. Oh my God! Oh, he got up and down after wiping one way right, and hitting another fair. Oh my God! What a fairway! Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah, have fun, guys.
I gotta mark down the timestamp for this because I need to cut that up and just put it there forever.
That whole stretch has like 10 GIFs at least.
That's unbelievable.
A few clips.
If I knew how to do that, then I would GIF the shit out of that.
We'll get one of our guys on it.
All right, yeah, we'll get our producers on it.
Yeah. All right. Where were we? All right. So 8 to 9,400. We have this range here. Moose, who are you liking?
Oh man, I really wish you'd stop putting me first here, but 8 to 9,400 here. Oh my God. I like Finau. I like Paul Casey and Adam Scott, man. I like Adam Scott. He's actually probably one of the guys I'll probably ride pretty hard. I mean, we're looking for ball strikers, and he's one of those guys that's kind of just been, Jekyll and Hyde with this putter, and I'm just going to hope that I get whichever one of those two is the good version of that person.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I hope because I don't know which one is the better one.
Who are you guys liking on here? I mean,
Matt.
Ev, I feel like you have a fire take, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to declare this Bubba week, and I never play Bubba, but I don't really know why, and it doesn't make me feel good, but I just have an inkling that it could be a Bubba week. But these are there's a bunch of guys in this range that I love. Like obviously Finau is always going to find his way into my rosters. Like I mentioned before, Fowler, Fleetwood, and Schauffele are pretty close as far as range of outcomes go. I would give the nod to Fleetwood. I feel like I'm going to have way too much of him this week. And then obviously Cantlay's right there at 8,200, which I feel like is a little low for him. Those are kind of my guys that I'll be cycling through. Or I mean, you could really just build a lineup in this range that you could feel pretty comfortable with, right? Like you could go pretty balanced and and feel all right if you just went from like Fleetwood to Bubba.
So again, this is why I was like, don't come to me first. Go to somebody else because I can go pull some stuff up. But like when you said Bubba, I was like, pull him up on the site, and his best putting surface is POA, and he gains more strokes the harder the course gets. So that kind of speaks to this too. At first, when you said it, I was like, he wasn't on my radar, but I can see some validity in that. So that's pretty sweet. I'd be shocked if he win. I mean, that would be an awesome win too. That would kind of. How many majors would that give him now? That'd give him 3?
3.
Yeah.
Right.
And
2.
11 wins. That's crazy.
Eh.
Anybody got any weather details on the week yet?
Well, since I'm going Friday, I know that it's gonna rain on Friday. Yeah, as far as the last time I checked, it looks like some rain in the morning on Friday. Not windy though.
That goes to Bubba too then.
Yeah. I think Windfinder, for those of you who are like, this is Tuesday night, so things change, but Windfinder actually has a station at Bethpage State Park. So you will get very accurate readings and forecasts from Windfinder if you type in Bethpage. So definitely some weather on Friday, but the wind doesn't look like it's going to be crazy.
Well, there's always weather. Weather occurs 24/7, 365.
Evan, do we need to bring up a basketball team from Philadelphia right now?
Fuck at it.
But is the world really round, Evan?
I saw a Netflix documentary that had a bunch of people that thought otherwise.
That was one of the best payoffs of any documentary I've ever watched. Was the end of that when they go to do the test
and it all
just
fails.
straight up fails.
Oh.
Like the whole time I was like, oh my God, the filmmakers actually fucking think that the earth is flat. And then it's just like, and they're like, oh, we're just going to do one more test.
So to anybody who ever wants me on their podcast that's watching this is what happens.
Yeah.
We go from PGA Championship to flat earth in like 2 seconds, and it's awesome.
I'm having a good time. So
I'm having a great time too, and we're still doing all right on time, so that's good.
Yeah, we're crushing. That's fine.
Screw time.
I got nothing but time. We're good.
Oh, yeah.
This is great.
So I'll talk about some of the guys I like here. Matt Kuchar at 8,700 is probably my favorite golfer in this range. Obviously, just extremely consistent, consistently good, and he's not.
He's consistently consistent.
He's consistently consistent. That's right. So yeah,
sounds like a good play for the contrarian.
Exactly. But yeah, like he's my third favorite golfer here in the model, or in what I'm looking at, right behind McIlroy and Johnson.
In the whole everybody?
Yeah, just every golfer. Right? He's my third favorite in this
range.
No. He's my third favorite in this tournament. Period.
Look at you with these takes.
Yeah. No, I just think like the thing is like you're gonna have it's a very difficult course, right? So I'm favoring guys that are just consistent rather than huge peaks and valleys.
Was today like senior cut day? Is that why you got in extra research or something?
I haven't done school for like a week and a half now. Try me.
I've been done with school. I just picture Evan like running out of school, running down the hallways, throwing his papers in the air, like school's out for the summer.
No, my yearly tradition is to just walk out of my last class and just give the finger to whatever building I'm getting out of.
Oh my God.
It's a good scene.
Evan.
So yeah, I mean, I do like Finau, as you guys were saying. Jason Day at 9,000. I think that's a little bit underpriced for what he is, being one of the elite golfers in this field. Cantlay, I'm with you there. Decky. I mean, if Decky could putt, he'd probably be my top golfer.
If Decky could putt.
But obviously Decky's not going to be able to putt, so RIP.
Well, hold on. So here's the thing with posts. So when we're talking about putting splits, and I'm going to not try to bring this into a whole philosophy sort of thing.
Yeah.
But as far as putting goes, in my opinion, the biggest difference is Bermuda versus non-Bermuda. Because Bermuda, like, you've got a grain, and it takes like kind of like years to kind of learn how that grain. You can have a straight putt, but if the grain's going left, your ball's in a curve left, and you have to be able to learn how to read that. Okay, so that's a particular skill. Now, then the difference between bent and Bermuda or bent and POA is that bent is like a billiards table, where it's smooth as can be. So that's where you got the guys who can put the ball on their line. It's going to go on that line, and they're going to do it. And that's why the better putters rise to the top on bent. Now, the reason that POA is kind of just all over the place is because it's a lot bumpier and there's a lot more inconsistency. And so that really good putter can put it exactly on the line that he wants, and it might bump offline, where that guy who's just slightly inaccurate could also have it bump onto line. And so if you're looking for a guy that isn't that great of a putter, POA is the surface that you want to go with him on, because POA is like, it levels the playing field. A guy who putts really well on bent is going to putt better on bent than a non-bet good putter. But a poor putter on POA has a chance to come, to have it go on, because there's going to be shorter putts missed from that good putter because of just inaccuracies in the green.
Right.
I like that use of alliteration.
Makes sense.
What was the alliteration?
Poor POA putter.
Oh, poor POA putter. Love it.
That was solid from you. Any other hot takes here? 8K to 9,400.
No, I mean, I guess you could kick off the next segment talking about Glover, and then we could move on.
Oh man, where is he at? 7,300.
7,300 for the
he is
2009 U.S. Open champion here. And if you are not considering 7-year-old results in your model, then you need to GTFO.
No, I have it's kind of weird how my rankings kind of fill out here, because within like the entire 7,000, 7 to 7,900, it's like I like the 7,600 guys and the $7,300 guys. Everyone else in the middle, I just don't like. It's weird.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, Lucas Glover he's definitely popping based on recent results, right? Because the long-term form, because when I look at things like, last 100 rounds or the last 2 years of rounds played, he's not, he wasn't really that strong relatively, but it's mainly, his last 24 and his last 50 where it's really popping. So that's why he's kind of lower than I would think he should be, if you get what I mean. So I don't know. I definitely like Glover a lot, though. He's become a lot more consistent.
I kind of think of Glover as like a poor man's Kuchar, like a very poor man's Kuchar, maybe like a food stamp Kuchar.
Yeah, like a dollar store Kuchar.
Yeah, dollar store Kuchar. Yeah, dollar store Kuchar. I love it.
I mean,
we're just like coining shit left and right here.
Yeah, no, because there is validity to that statement, I guess, because he is consistent, but not to Kuchar's level, right? Because Matt Kuchar, for years, has been, a relatively boring golfer to watch, but very good at doing that.
Right.
Right. Lucas Glover is just starting to become that now. Right. So that's why I guess you're right. Kind of delist Matt Kuchar, but I still like him nonetheless.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the $7,600 guys, I like Webb Simpson a lot here. I've liked him a lot in recent tournaments. He's just I don't know. He's a streaky golfer, but can definitely rack up a string of birdies at any moment's time, right? So Webb Simpson's good there. Like Kokrak, Poulter. They also how about Rafa Cabrera Bello? He's actually pretty solid for this week, right? Am I crazy for suggesting that?
That you went from such confidence to right?
I really like this guy. Hey guys.
What do you guys think? Do you think I'm right? Do you think?
Well, I mean,
because it's weird. I've never seen him.
He's good, but is he?
I've never seen him good. I need the confirmation bias.
Yeah, no,
to work in my favor here.
I mean, he's a beast. He's a tall guy. He can bomb it. He's got the skills. He's a Ryder Cup player.
Yeah.
I have such a hard time with these guys because, at Fantasy National, we do a lot of just focusing on PGA Tour. So I wish I had a lot more of the Euro stuff to kind of feed into this. I'm not going to go in as he's my guy this week, but this guy is a stud. I mean, nobody would be surprised if he won this tournament. Nobody would be like, "Oh, Rafa, where did he come from?" He's a good player.
Yeah, and I mean he's been playing pretty exclusively over here now. He hasn't played in Europe since I think either Abu Dhabi or one of those.
Just
back in January. So no, but that's what I'm saying. So we have a pretty good grasp of who he is. I don't know. I'm not as high on him this week. He did not pop in the model, in my model whatsoever. I think as much as it pains me to say it, I would much prefer playing Glover at the same price, or just finding a few $100s and going up to Kokrak, who's how did this even happen with Kokrak?
Dude, Kokrak is on fire lately.
He has the longest cuts made streak on tour right now. He's made 21 straight cuts. The last cut he missed was the Open Championship last year, which is just insane. He's been striking it well. He's just been doing everything well. And it's sort of been sustained now. It's not a 2 or 3 event spike right now. It seems like he must have just changed something that just helped him click, because he's been a completely different guy than we were used to seeing, 3-4 years ago. Outside of him, obviously I'm going to play some Gary. I think Hao Tong Lee is worth a GPP dart. I think he plays well on these longer courses. In general, he has really positive splits for strokes gained approach and strokes gained tee to green on courses over 7,400 yards over the past couple of years. So he's somebody that I'm interested in. I'm going to roster me some Sung Jae Im. And then as far as the putting splits go, bringing that back around, I would love to play Keith Mitchell on this course if it was Bermuda, but I'm having a real hard time getting there because it's POA. Do either of you guys have any feeling on Mitchell?
I have no Mitchell. He doesn't really fit here for me.
No, I think he's a decent play. I bet you he'll make the cut. I don't see any reason to think that he's going to be a major contender. I don't see any reason to think that he can't perform well here. I will add though that Rafa, his best putting surface by far is POA, and also plays better the more difficult the course gets. So there's that. So
the thing with Rafa, sorry.
No, go for it.
The thing with Rafa is that I don't think casuals will be on him. Because, I mean, just coming in from the perspective of someone who might be playing the Millie Maker as kind of a promotional thing, more than a consistent DFS golf player, I don't think Rafa Cabrera Bello is going to get that recognition. Right.
What are you guys seeing for ownership on your other sites? Your inferior sites with poor projections in my own.
Ouch.
Shots fired. No, I'm just teasing. No, everybody who produces content is awesome. I'm totally kidding on that front.
I would imagine I always do my projections after the show. I would think that he's going to be maybe 6%. I would say between 5 and 10 I would feel pretty confident in putting that range on it.
I mean,
Matt, you are so smart, and I think that is such a great.
It's the first time anybody's ever said that to me.
That might be the best, just out of nowhere ballpark guess in the history of podcasts. Honestly.
That's
have
what
him
we
at
do
5.
here.
We have him at 5.8. So
Yeah,
That's,
I have
that's
him.
what we do here. Just random
it was
guesses.
just no. I mean, but as far as random guesses go, I mean, you could put that along with like the likes of Da Vinci or Michelangelo. I mean, it was masterful. The way that you just pulled that out of the air and said this number that was like really close to what we magically think happens. Oh my God. Brilliant. Great job.
Thanks.
That was kind of beautiful. I'm not gonna lie.
Gonna get a plaque made to put up behind me on the wall here.
And for what it's worth, I currently have him in 33% of lineups. So
Oh yeah, you're over. Yeah, I think
Take
that's a good play.
fella.
yeah,
I think that's a good play.
I'm heavy on him.
There you go.
So all right, I'm gonna go down just a little bit here before we get into like the dirt cheap guys, because I do kind of like a little bit of a trio of Aaron Wise, Vegas, and Charlie Hoffman.
All of the Vegas.
There you go.
I like the Wise.
Yeah, I do have more Wise than Vegas. I have like 13% Wise to 10% Vegas. So
My CourseFit model gave Vegas an 89 and Wise an 88. So they're pretty much
fairly
much
close.
splitting hairs there.
Yeah.
I personally like Vegas a little bit more, but I can definitely see the case for Wise there as well.
Mm-hmm. And as we get down here to 7K, we have Jim Furyk and Chucky Three Sticks, who I just have gripes with at this point.
Is Chuck just completely broken?
I don't know. He is. I mean, he ranks fine, but this is also looking at short and long-term form. So I think the long-term form is helping out here a bit. But like, oh my God, he has just been terrible in his last few weeks.
If you
I
stall,
like CH3 this week. I like CH3 this week. He's got the sand saves. He's got the sand saves and the scrambling is what's really like driving it. I like driving accuracy. I like driving distance. Approach is going to be key, which is right in his wheelhouse. But where I think people are going to be separated is their ability to like work around the sand and work around the greens. It's funny because, and maybe this is just my own stupid bias because I've played the course and I just know how tough this rough is. But like around the green or scrambling is one of the least things I ever pay attention to. But when I played there, and again, I'm no pro, but like I missed the fairway by like, I think I hit 2 fairways all day and I missed like 7 of them by like 1.5 feet. And you're just like screwed, even if you just miss it by like, and so people have to scramble here. It's like nothing I've ever done before. And maybe I'm putting too much of my own game in this, and that's fine because I don't care because I'm not a tout. But like, I think it's going to come down to just how you do around the greens. If somebody is killing it off the tee, they're carrying the bunkers, they're hitting the fairways, and they're hitting the greens, that's great. I mean, if somebody gives birth to a unicorn as well, that would be amazing. But people are going to struggle this week, and you're going to have to get it done around the greens and hit greens. And CH3 hits that for me.
All right.
So take it.
I believe you.
I will take her for everything it's worth.
Okay. Which ain't much.
Yeah. Any love for Graham McDowell here? Because for whatever reason, he kind of just shows up. Actually, I kind of know why he shows up. He has been very strong he has been a strong putter and birdie gainer in his last 12 rounds. That's why he shows up.
Evan,
I answer the question.
There are probably like a handful of holes that he might not even be able to reach the fairway.
I'm just throwing guys out there.
I'm not talking about left and right. I'm talking about literally like not having the carry number with his driver to get to the fairway.
Those Titleist Pro V1s, dude. They're like steroids.
In his defense, he is a golfer and he is playing in the field this week.
Yes, he did qualify. He has that going for him. Yeah.
And actually, you know what? Like, so here's another interesting thing about him too, is that he's gained he's like 38th in the field in strokes gained, which is pretty good. That's probably top third of the field. And he doesn't really do anything particularly well. So, and I'm looking
Just
at
a ringing endorsement.
no, here's the thing though.
No, I know what you're saying.
He doesn't do anything, but golf is about getting the ball in the hole. And he knows how to get the ball in the hole. Like, it's crazy. You know, I look back and I look at, you know, all the models that people build and I look at everything, and it's crazy how often that just guys who rank 40th across the board and everything perform well. You don't have to grab the guy who's the best in every stat every week. It's finding those guys who are just mediocre in everything, but they don't have a weakness. They're just
right. Yeah.
You know, jack of all trades, master of none is great in golf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's one of the best traits you can have is you can do anything and just get the ball in the hole. And the guy's clearly got a track record. He's been around forever.
You also have to figure that's especially true as far as, you know, ownership considerations go and things like that, because the guys who, you know, just pipe the shit out of the ball and are leading and driving distance are like always going to be the flashy, like, oh, we got to get these guys in our lineup. And a lot of times, you know, there's a certain threshold of distance that will help you here. And once you get past that, if you're not doing everything else well, then like, who gives a shit? And it's probably, the threshold is probably closer to like tour average than we'd admit most of the time. You know, like just a little bit of distance helps. So I do think there's a point to that. I'm still not playing any fucking Graham McDowell, but like in theory, I get what you're saying.
I'm not either, but
he's always worth a good mention, right?
Well, this is the last thing I'm going to say here that I'm going to derail you guys on, but like, you know, we're not touts like at Fantasy National. I'm never going to say that somebody can't do well here. Somebody can't. Like, that's what I love about what we do is we're not saying, hey, this guy can't do it. Any week, anything can happen. All we're trying to do is give you the data. And sometimes the data works and sometimes the data doesn't. It's, you know, I mean, we all saw Tin Cup win a U.S. Open or almost win a U.S. Open. And right, and that happened in reality, but like anything can happen on any given day. It's can you build compelling reasons to get behind a guy?
Right.
And a compelling reason for Graham McDowell is that the guy knows how to get the ball in the hole despite what any of the numbers say.
I think that's fair.
And if you want to put your money on him, let's do it. You know what? And no, not a whole lot of other people are going to be going after him. They, you know, unless they think that it's still 2008.
Like if he makes the cut at, you know, what is he, 7,000?
Yeah.
6,900, wherever he is, 7,000. He's going to be like 2% on. So then you're allowing yourself a lot of flexibility in your lineup. And, you know, if he managed like a 45th place finish or something, like that's free money.
Anybody want to take a Thomas Peters beats Graham McDowell bet against me? Because he's also at $7,000, and I'll take Thomas Peters over Graham McDowell.
Evan, go ahead and book that because I'm not touching either of those fucking guys.
Well, I'm still grieving over my Hank Laboda v. Bo Hosler.
Well, you won last week.
Last week I won, but the week before I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, pass my bet. I'll let you guys wrap up your show here. Sorry.
Well, we got to talk a couple of below 7K guys too.
Oh,
no?
yeah.
And it's not like, so before we truly get into this range, like it's not like you really need any of these guys. I mean, if you're building stars and scrubs, I get it. But like if you're building a more balanced lot, you definitely don't need to go down in this range a whole lot, right? Because like
you don't have to. But
yeah, because we have major. I mean, we have majors type pricing. Which
and you have to realize
a lot of value.
Yeah, you have to realize also that, you know, I would say at least 20 to 30% of the guys like, you know, 6,900 and below are just like random qualifiers, like course pros all over the country that like they're they're not going to do anything, right? Like they're not going to make a cut. Like you can very easily eliminate a lot of these guys in this range. But then you do have a couple of guys who are interesting, at least.
Like I'm into some Corey Connors here.
Yep.
At 6,800, he is very strong recently.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine anyone being like, no, I'm good. But he's going to be super low owned. He'll probably be like 3 or 4% owned. He did miss the cut the last time that we saw him, but that was, he won. He got to play the Masters, and then he, took a mental break that week, I guess. But I like Connors. I like Juiced at the same price there. I wrote him up this week. I think he's really interesting. Outside of that, like it's kind of hard to get excited about a lot of these guys. Like maybe you could make a case for like a Russell Knox. Tway seems like he would fit from like just a stat basis. He's plenty long enough. But I don't know. What about you, Moose? Who are you liking down there?
Luke List. Shout out to Pat Mayo here, but his biggest weakness is his putting. And like I said before on my POA rant, this is the week that kind of can level things out. He's definitely got the distance. So, but he's not a guy I'm building my lineup around, by the way, guys. I mean, you're throwing him on a couple lineups hoping to hit and being perfectly happy when he is like 3 shots above the cut line with 4 holes to go and misses it. That's what we're dealing with. But so I like List, Knox, Ryan Fox, and Ross Fisher as a couple of Euro guys. Scott Piercy and Julian Siri. I'm probably going to sprinkle in a couple of guys down in this range, just helping me get up into that higher range a little bit and try to spread my exposure out in this bottom side. But there's a lot of guys who really don't have a lot of chance to make this cut. If they've got the distance and they've got a couple of good skills, I'm going to throw them in. If I'm playing 20 lineups next week, I'll throw maybe a bunch of these guys in 2 to 3 lineups, but I'm not going to let them go any higher than that.
Right.
And I just hope that I get the one guy, in the right lineup.
So if you want to hear the take of the week here.
Oh, yes, I do. Bring it on, Evan.
With the rhyme scheme.
It's fine. We're gonna edit this part out.
If you don't play Scott, you're losing a lot.
Adam Scott?
No,
are you talking about Piercy?
Scott Piercy.
Oh.
Scott Piercy. No. Adam Scott's hell no. Fuck that guy.
Super high.
Not the actor Adam Scott. I like the actor Adam Scott.
Oh God,
Golf Adam Scott.
I like the golf Adam Scott. I was super high on him. Fuck you. Hey, I'll take Adam Scott over Graham McDowell.
There you go.
I would too, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, with Scott Piercy though, I mean he's on fire too on a strokes gain basis.
Yeah, he went bogey free on that mini golf course last week, so that was cool.
No, I don't know. At 6,500 though, he's egregiously underpriced in my opinion. Like he's definitely a mid-7s guy to me. What is that?
Egregious? Like, come on. It's not egregious.
No, it's egregious. 6,500 for Scott Piercy. He's at least 72, 73. At least.
No.
All right, if you say so. I know.
All right, so I'll book Vegas over him then, since he's supposed to be more expensive.
Fine.
All right.
I'll take that. Yeah. I mean, he's the last.
Since Leviota didn't make the field, I can't do my Hostler bet with you.
I saw that. I was kind of sad because I wanted to make that bet again.
Yeah.
But I mean, on the Scott Piercy front, he's he's by far one of my he's one of the guys that I have at 40%. Along with
my God,
just
send me, just Venmo me what you are gonna put into DFS this week, and let me donate it to a charity or something. Like, do some good instead of paying the rake.
Because I'll click on my Scott Piercy lineups, right? Because my Scott Piercy lineups are all pretty much stars and scrubs, obviously, because he's 65.
Yeah, because he's the scrub.
Yeah, price wise. But like you fit in Scott Piercy, you can pretty much do whatever else you want in your lineup, and he is a very solid golfer.
Okay.
Consistently.
Okay.
So you know what? I'm all in.
All right.
Outside of Scott Piercy, I think that is the final guy that I have.
Yeah. Down a doozy there.
Yeah, well. See, I got what about here's a name I'll never be able to pronounce in my life.
There we go.
6400.
We're back.
Jazz.
Oh God.
Jazz.
No.
Jane Watanawand.
No.
No?
No.
Is that even in the ballpark?
I don't know how to say it, but I'm not gonna try. That's the difference between me and you. All right, let's hit our cash locks and get out of here. This is
becoming a unique show.
Yeah, this is something.
That last name is absolutely ridiculous, though. Like, could you imagine, like, if he opened his own store, how much his sign would cost? Just in all the letters that need to be like.
He'll go bankrupt and sign it.
He's like, oh, I need a neon sign with 27 letters.
Yeah, that's a lot of neon.
Yeah.
God.
It's got to be some backstory, though. I'll tell you.
Jana Watananad.
See?
Jana Watananad. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
I think you got
That
it.
sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it's a ya. Maybe it's like a soft J. Maybe it's Yaz Yana Watan.
It's better than Uthusian.
Yeah, that was a doozy. That was like
That was bad.
I was like,
That was
why?
the first time I was on the podcast with
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I almost filed a lawsuit against Mike Francesa the other week because he
Uthusian.
stole my brand.
Oh,
That's another story. That's another podcast unto itself.
well, just let me know and I'll get the Twitter hate going on that fucker.
All right, I'll take my locks here first. I'll take DJ. I'll take Piercy. I only make these takes to make you mad, Matt.
Oh,
I honestly do.
it's so much Piercy. I don't understand. I'm gonna go with Ram and Kokrak.
I'm gonna go with Brooks and CH3.
There you go.
There
You could
go.
probably
All right.
fit all 6 of those guys into a lineup, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, Chucky, Three Sticks, and
Right.
Piercy in a lineup together. You fit anyone else you want.
All right,
All
then,
right.
well, Moose, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah,
Really
thanks so much. But
appreciate
you
it.
know, hey, I do want to say that Tiger is gonna win this, and I'm gonna have the winner in our charity draft
Yeah,
contest.
if Tiger wins this, then you're like minus 500, maybe minus 1,000 to win the charity.
I told you as soon as I drafted him first number 1 overall that he's probably got the first 3 majors. So
It's true. He did say that. We have receipts if anybody doesn't believe him.
All right. All right. That'll do it for us. This has been the Bogey Free Podcast for the PGA Championship. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and iTunes under Bogey Free DFS. And make sure to follow us all on Twitter. And if we are not winning all of the money this week, we hope you guys do. So good luck in your contest this week.
See you.